Welcome back to another episode of Gilded Minutes, the music talk show where I reintroduce your favorite musicians to the music that moves them through the gift of hi-fi listening. Today, we sit down with Bar Italia, the enigmatic London-based rock band that emerged out of the throes of COVID and has now found themselves about to drop one of 2025's most anticipated records, Some Like It Hot, on Matador. Due to the band's busy schedule, we didn't have the time for the full extended conversation I like to have with artists, but we still had a blast listening to music together, and they had plenty to share about all of their picks. So strap in, I hope you're excited to listen and discover some new music today, because the band's picks cover a wide range of genres. Now, a disclaimer about today's episode. Making these sorts of videos is incredibly new to me. I very much am building the plane here while I'm flying it. And as a result, I make some mistakes when I'm recording video, recording audio. On this episode, you will notice a noticeable step down in the footage quality here. I underexposed this footage so bad, I shot myself in the foot. Anyways, lesson learned and feeding that back into future episodes. That being said, this is a great conversation, great music. Enjoy.
When you say jump, then I'm gonna jump.
All right, Bar Italia, welcome to my living room. I thank you guys for being here and coming over. Us. Yeah, of course. Really excited to just listen to some music with you guys. But yeah, welcome. What brings you guys to New York City?
This.
Just this?
No,
Wow.
Press trip to promote our new album.
Very cool. So how has it been for you guys getting into the cycle of press as people who are almost very intentionally not doing press for a while?
Sorry.
I had nothing to say.
Okay, great.
Nina volunteered me.
Yeah, well, this is a perfect example of the situation. No, I think we wanted to be more intentional about what we were saying as opposed to just waffling, which I will now proceed to waffle. I proceed Will to waffle.
Will to waffle.
I think, but now we've actually
Water
just.
waffle's
I
a
think,
big inspiration.
yeah, Will to waffle. We've actually gone over now the precipice of probably more time talking than less time talking.
You said the precipice.
Precipice.
What did you say? Precipice.
Precipice. No, I think we've spent a long enough time now doing press that I think it outweighs the time we haven't spent talking. After that, you'll understand why we haven't.
Yeah, and what has your experience been like, Nina, all of a sudden stepping
Mine
back
specifically.
into it? Yeah.
Great.
Is your name Nina? Is your name Nina?
I think it's been good. Like when the interview is good, it's good.
Sure.
And when it isn't. It's like just like everything else.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I got to listen to the new record quite a bit now, and I love it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very fun. It's very energetic. I think it has a very effective emotional climax to me, which hits on, I think the track's called Vanishing Woman?
Oh, yeah, Lady Vanishes.
Lady Vanishes. And then from there, just to end credits is just this incredible run that I've had a lot of fun just sitting with. And as someone who's gotten to digest your previous records as well, I'm very excited for this to get out there because I think it's exactly in line.
Thank you.
And I think people are going to love it, of course. Well, we don't have too much time, and we did come here with a purpose, which is to listen to music together. Mm-hmm. Instead of sitting here and just talking to you guys endlessly and asking very probing questions over and over again, I kind of just want to see what music really has resonated with you, and I guess where parts of your soul sort of find themselves lodged. I think it's really interesting, and it's very revealing about people, what music tracks their life behind the music that they make. And it can reveal influences in very interesting ways, but also reveal details about a person that I think are very interesting and cool. So I thank you guys for being game to listen and share also. It also gives you guys a chance to be in the curator seat and a different way for fans to connect with you guys. And I'm excited to hear what you guys have picked out.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So we kind of have to be strategic here. We can't obviously listen to 3 albums in an hour, especially your album's 3 hours long. So that's not going to work. Yeah, it's a bit.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have picked it.
It's a bit long, but very impressive. Who would want to go first? Yes.
Sounded good.
Yeah, I'll go. I am Sam from Bar Italia. And I think you should listen to the Saints album, Stranded.
Yeah, where do you want to start?
There should be a song called Kissin' Cousins on there.
Yep, there is.
What? Can we listen to that?
Yeah, we'll do that
It's
one.
a bop.
Okay, let me just get the music going then.
It was just being submitted. I didn't know it was being participated in. So we're playing it to the music.
Are you surprised that we're just going to be listening to music together right
In a
now?
good way.
Yeah.
Oh, this is actually...
He just wanted to join.
I just invite you guys to literally come and hang out and show me your favorite music, and we're just going to play it loud, and then I'll probably ask you about that. Yeah. Yeah. So we're starting with Kissin' Cousins now-ish.
Well, I got a gal, she's as cute as she can be. Well, she's a distant cousin, but she ain't too distant for me. And we kiss all night. I squeeze her tight. But we're kissing cousins, and that's what makes it alright. How to live. Yeah, she gives a lot, and boy, she's got a lot to give. We kiss all night. I squeeze her tight. But we're kissing cousins, and that's what makes it alright. We're all cousins, and now that I truly believe, I think that you want a lot of love. Yeah, and we kiss all night. I squeeze her tight. But we're kissing cousins, and that's what makes it alright. Of Adam and Eve. Well, I got a dame and she want a lot of love. Alright. I say we're kissing cousins, and that's what makes it alright.
All right.
Thanks.
All right.
Alright.
Yeah. All right. So tell me about this record and why this felt like the obvious choice for you to pick today. Are you listening to this album a lot right now or through the development of the last record, or is this something you have a historical relationship with?
No. Just listen to it a lot at the moment.
Do you remember when it found you?
Yeah, I was with an Australian guy, and we were like, "Are there any good Australian bands?" And he was like, "What? You haven't heard the States?" And I was like, "Actually, haven't." And my dad was there as well, and he was kind of. They were both kind of trolling me for never having listened to them. So then they played it to me, and I was like, "Okay, wow, this is actually."
Okay, fair guys.
Yeah.
Wait, where did you? This was just a random Australian man?
No, he was the engineer of our album.
Okay, gotcha. In my mind, there was a pub for whatever reason. Yeah.
No, the reason it was relevant, his name is Elliot, and the reason it was relevant is because that's how I heard the song, and he's Australian, so that's where we got into that band. My dad came to visit us recording one day, and we were just kind of playing songs on a break. They played that album. They played the single Stranded. They didn't play that song, but at the moment, that's my favorite song, I think.
And what do you think about, out of all the songs on here, picking Kissin' Cousins, what about this one really stands out to you?
It's the beat and the rhythm of the guitars, to be honest. It's nothing to do with the lyrics. It's just like, I just really like that. That I'm really into that. So, and then the lyrics are amazing, and he's my favorite singer, definitely.
Chris?
When he says, "We're kissing cousins," and that's what makes it all right.
Yeah.
He's added a justification in the
Right,
description of the supposed crime. So
Sure.
I love that because that twists my head a bit when he says that, and I just
Cool.
love the sound of his voice. So
Yeah.
it doesn't really anything he said would go down well with me. And I found out they're still touring, this band, but but he's not singing with them, and I don't know if he's still around or if he's just not doing it. But the guy they've got now seems great, seems like a legend himself. But I won't go and see them without that singer.
So there was an original singer back in 1977.
Yeah.
Jesus. And now did
From
he
what
die?
I could tell of their current tour, he's not involved.
But he's alive.
I think he might be. I can't.
We'll
can't
figure it
speak
out.
on this, but
Yeah.
I have a feeling he's still alive and just not.
It's always a risky move rebooting a band with somebody new, man. You know?
Yeah, especially the singer.
Sex Pistols.
I know. Linkin Park has done it, right? Alice in Chains still tours.
Gallows replacing John Lydon from Sex Pistols.
Wait, say that again?
So Sex Pistols are touring without John Lydon, but it's the singer from Gallows. It's just like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right, cool. Well,
Yeah, that was great.
is there one more song that you would want to visit off this album?
I mean, I like the whole album.
Stranded. Do that one.
Nah, I'd never play someone Stranded, to be honest.
But
I
you
don't
got played
think it's
Stranded, so that's
I
quite
know,
interesting.
but it's not. Now that I've listened to the whole album, it's not like the catches. Can you read me some of the names on it? I'll tell you.
I'm Stranded, One Way Street, Wild About You.
Wild, yeah, Wild About You. That's
one?
amazing. Yeah. I didn't know we were gonna do 2 in a row from it.
Well,
That's great.
All right, cool. Let's listen. Wild About You. Here we go. How's the volume?
You made a furious like savage, a honey run to the jungle after you. And like a wild man on a rampage. Yeah, I found this safari, baby. What are you? I rock about the way out, clothes you wear, your pretty hair dresses, you took up there. Cause you're wild, and I'm wild about you. You're wild, and I'm wild about you. Come on. Better you're so wild, and don't make it mild. I don't come and get you right now. I like a wild man on a rampage. Yeah, I found this safari, baby. What are you? Yeah, you look so good, I could eat you, but I won't kill the steak, so I won't eat you. Honey, laugh at me, I bet you're loving it too. Cause you're wild, and I'm wild about you. You're wild, and I'm wild about you. Come on. What can I do? Yes, you're wild. I can't stand it. Yes, you're wild. I'm going insane. Yes, you're wild.
Is this a comfort genre for you? Is this
Yeah,
this
very
punk then?
comforting. Yeah, I listen to it before I go to sleep, and it just really
Yeah.
gets me off. And,
Sure,
yeah.
right.
That and a coffee before bed.
Probably
Yeah.
why you've got insomnia.
And for you guys, would you say that this as an album pick for Sam lines up well?
Yes.
Yes.
I found out about the Saints because of Sam.
So you were in the room, I think, when Elliot played it to us.
Yeah. Sure.
Do you guys, as a band, exchange a lot of music that you guys are listening to personally and like make it a point to listen intentionally together, or?
Kinda. It's like, not really, but like kinda.
My
Occasionally.
experience, no, but I think we all send each other tracks where we individually match up on that track.
For sure.
That happens.
Sure. Well, let's keep the train going. Who wants to go next?
My name's Jezmi, I'm from Bar Italia, and I think everyone should listen to Recurring by Spaceman 3.
Is there anything helpful to know about this record for someone who might be diving into this for the first time
Yeah,
that
for
you think
sure.
might help them absorb it better?
So I think my stepdad showed me a lot of music as a kid, and it was like really informative to like my tastes growing up. But Spaceman 3 were like the first band that were like mine. That wasn't like a thing that was happening concurrent to my generation, where it was like something I found from the past that was like truly mine, and I showed him. So it was like a really special like bonding moment with him because for some reason it skipped him, and I showed him them, and we like listened together, and I was like a massive fan. But this album is the last album they made, not together necessarily, which is interesting because there was a duo who were like childhood best friends who were kind of like the first kind of like proper, real dedicated like rehash of the 60s. And they formed in the early 80s. But this album was the last one they made together because their relationship had crumbled to the point where the first half of the album is Pete Kemba, the second half of the album is Spaceman. So the album was actually two different solo albums put together next to each other, which is like, I think that's fascinating.
Interesting.
Like-
And you say like during the two different albums were recorded at a time before the relationship was withering, and then
No. So the relationship with it, I think they had a contractual obligation to deliver an album.
and this was it.
And this was it.
Whoa.
Did they
It
write
was-
a half each?
Exactly. So it's split into two halves, and it really informs what they did later in their solo stuff. So Spaceman spiritualized, obviously, so it's like starts to become more orchestral, more beautiful, more like overly adorned. Pete Kemba's is more electronic, so he was going down the route of getting really into synthesizers, having previously been like really into like guitars and feedback and stuff like that. So like it was like a really good bridge between their solo work and the band that they'd been in before. What I like about it is none of the songs directly address this issue. They
Like
just-
the relationship
yeah,
turmoil.
like none of it like directly addresses it, which is really cool. I think they're just like, we're moving on. It's done.
Do you feel it would have been too simple to like have an album that's about
I like the fact it doesn't create like any intentional drama
Sure.
within it. Like it's just there's a piece in it that's kind of beautiful. It's like a friendship ending, or like a working relationship ending that they're just moving on.
Yeah, it's also really cool to almost like I don't know. And then it gets packaged up as like a gift for the friendship and for
that information came out later as well. By all intents and purposes, it was a fully fledged Spaceman 3 album.
So I know I've listened to this at some point, but I cannot for the life of me remember what it sounds like. So that's also helpful for me. And I'm curious to see just what we're getting into.
Also, I'm going to choose one song from either side,
Cool.
obviously.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Let's listen. Okay, tell me about this particular song. Why did it feel like the right choice? What came up while you were listening?
I love like multiple instruments filtered through one tremolo. So like lots of things like feeding into one like like as a like a sonic thing. But also it's like got one of my favorite lyrics ever of the you made me feel like I was just what you needed, and then you turned around and said, why don't you beat it? Like, it's funny as fuck. It's also like the bit at the end of the Discord is for you. It's like what Brian Jonestown Massacre referenced when they did this, when Anton did the same thing, of like he's referencing that song. It's like, and it's the start of him getting really into synths, like his project after Ear Experimental Audio Research of Kevin Shields from MBV. Like it's like really experimental synthesis, like long form, very druggy music. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like, it's the bridge between him trying to still write pop songs and then that thing. So it's got that perfect marriage of those two things. Mm-hmm. It's also just a bop. Like, I don't know. It's really messy. I was just thinking about this then, because obviously these speakers are really nice, whatever. I just think it's quite messy in like a way that I think maybe it's what maybe attracted to me. Did
something stand out that you hadn't noticed before, I guess, like listening through this?
Yeah, it's just really specific. I think listening to it, I think it was like something, I think that's a direct in to channel kind of driving a preamp of the guitar sound of the thing. It was like really like mid-frequency focused. Mm-hmm. I hadn't actually noticed how direct that sound was before. Awesome. And how like low the vocals were in the mix.
Sure. Yeah. That's one of my favorite parts of just like listening to stuff on a hi-fi system is it's just like it opens up every single song. Yeah. You can listen to a record 20 times and you put it on here and you're gonna find something new. If stuff is like reasonably well recorded, like if it's not very well recorded, it just still sounds like loud chaos, you know? But yeah, super cool. I just couldn't stop thinking that entire time. So these were two best friends that just...
Yeah, they were childhood friends, like from school.
and then they just no more. Did the reason for the breakup ever come up?
It was in true rock and roll fashion.
He slept with.
No, in true rock and roll fashion, it was like a woman. It's quite a funny story, I think. A woman that Spaceman was seeing, Pete Kemper really hated, and I think there was probably like a psychosexual tension between the two. I think they were kind of in some love.
I think I used to work for her. Depends who it was.
Yeah. So she left Spaceman for Richard Ashcroft from the Verve. So like it ended up in like an unhappy thing anyways, and they split up because of this woman. They never stayed together anyways. Sam did used to work for her.
He actually used to work
for
I think she's the lady that split up.
Yeah, I think she's a photographer, if my memory serves.
That's a very interesting overlap in a small, strange world. Also, I want to listen to one more song from this, but I was also very intrigued to see what you were going to pick as someone who has gone on the record to say you don't like music.
I was just...
That's why you don't do interviews over lunch.
Well, yeah, like... that was taken out of context for the record. I talk long form, and there was quite a long paragraph that sentence was in the middle of about me not really liking new music specifically.
Jezmi loves music.
I love music. I live for music quite clearly.
Yeah.
Quite fucking clearly.
I was like, there's no way that's serious. I cannot even...
And yeah, I was just like, I didn't like that woman, if I'm going to be completely honest. Didn't like her.
We're setting the record straight here.
Yeah.
You love music.
She sucks.
Yeah. For the last year, but that kind of stuff really sticks.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I have a habit of saying things that are really stupid.
You don't, not anymore.
But I'm
said
trying
a lot
to.
In that
That one.
Which somehow is like the Guardian.
I was like crying in a photo shoot before. I was not having a good day. I was not having a good day.
I'm so sorry. And then they just pulled it out and stuck it right there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Jezmi does not like music. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Oh, that.
Yeah. I was curious to see what he was going to pick, considering I had that bit of information on my mind. I'm like, okay, what does somebody who apparently doesn't like music pick as the record they want to listen to? And great pick.
Billy Whiz, Blue One.
Is that the song? Billy Whiz, Blue One.
Billy Whiz
okay.
/ Blue
I'm
One.
glad that was the song and not just something I was supposed to pick up on. I would have failed. Okay, Billy Whiz, Blue One.
I believe they're both drug references.
Okay, and so this is from the other half of the album.
Yeah, this is Spaceman himself. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's go.
I think I was within a reach.
Yeah. That's fucking awesome. The texture on that is incredible. Like, I love when that synth sort of comes almost like skittering in, like right there in the early stages.
And a fade out on a drum freaking out is so good.
So nice.
Yeah.
Great pick. Great
Thank
pick.
you.
Anything to add to that before we move on to Nina's picks?
Yeah, like the other Pete Cameron's one is like you can see where he went after with spiritualized and more orchestral leanings of things, like the various movements of it. Like it becomes like an expanded form as opposed to just like straight rock and roll. You can see the orchestral leadings.
Yeah.
Goes into it's great.
Last question. Like with this record, do you remember particularly like when you discovered it, like how you discovered it? Did you discover like a song, like one song, and then you got pulled into the album, or did you like fall into the album?
The album Perfect Prescription, which is considered their true like magnum opus, kind of like their best album, very much when they were together at the peak of their powers. And then got obsessed with that and started working my way through the rest of their discography, because a lot of their stuff is like live recordings. Then they made a couple of proper records, so a lot of it was like live recordings and bootlegs and stuff put together. And it's I'm sure you'll see that the cover is absurd.
Yeah,
like it's a fucking trip.
Yeah.
In itself, that cover. And I was just like, well, what the hell is this? And it quite obviously is like a different vibe visually to the rest of the stuff. So it was like, it seemed like something more interesting. And it was actually the last thing of theirs I listened to. Yeah, got obsessed.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get into your picks.
I'm Nina from Bar Italia, and my pick is the music of Gurdjieff and Thomas de Hartmann.
Is there anything that you feel would be helpful for a listener about to dive into this to know, to get into it?
I actually had to research it myself. So we're talking about like mid-20s, and Thomas de Hartmann is like a Russian composer who was like studying under Gurdjieff's. It was one of Gurdjieff's students. Gurdjieff is kind of like philosopher. He had like a whole belief system, and he's featuring like a book that I read recently by another student of his called Uspensky, and the music is transcribed on piano by the composer from Gurdjieff's kind of like humming it, or like somehow dictating it, but without knowing exactly how to write it down himself. So there's like kind of this interesting relationship between these two. It's like a master and a student, but the student being able to actually expand it into a composition. The music is instrumental to dances that were part of Gurdjieff's school, which was a school of self-discovery, and I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it's like a way of shedding away the kind of infrastructure of identity to like get to the actual core of who you are in the present. So it's like, it's supposed to be meditative in some ways, and like it's almost like religious in a way.
Sure.
I've got kind of like an interesting story to how I got to it, because I was studying at the time, like it was like a while ago, and I was finding it hard to study without music. And so I just found it on YouTube. I don't exactly remember how I stumbled on it. I think it must have been like, maybe I was listening to some other classical, even though this is not classical at all. We're talking like 20th century, and the kind of references and the music that informs his music is very much, it's kind of from all over, but there's a lot of like Middle Eastern influences, for example. And Thomas is Russian, for example. So it went from like a playlist to another playlist, and I just got this, and I just couldn't stop listening to it. But in this way that made it really easy for me to study as well. So it just, I associated it with a certain state of mind that I found really, like, I found it really hard to concentrate. So I gravitated towards it pretty much in any other moment I wasn't also studying, just to get that sense of center.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about Gurdjieff, and I'm kind of a bit like that. I sometimes find things and I don't really look into them, and I'm always fascinated by people that instead do that with music, for example. They know all the facts. I really don't often. And then many years later, I just read that book, and then I reconnected to the music, because, well, I've always listened to the music since then, but the music makes so much more sense with that context, because it's very repetitive, and I think there's like a lot of mathematical equation and like proportion within the music as well. Kissin, like some of the music was composed in that way.
Sure.
But I love how simple and how mysterious it is at the same time.
Amazing. It sounds like you have a very symbiotic relationship with this record.
Yeah.
And it was almost like a flow trigger for you.
It's very long, as you said.
Yes, it can soundtrack quite a lot.
But the other thing I really like is that this recording, specifically this one that I picked, is some of the recordings that happen in Uspensi's, I think it's the wife's house in Jersey. A lot of it was recorded in New York. But it's got all the room kind of sound.
Cool.
And it was never meant to be actually printed on a record.
Sure.
So it's not polished at all, which is kind of nice.
Awesome. Where do you want to start with this?
So there's one song that I really like that is called Prayer and Despair from disc 1.
Okay. Cool. Let's do it. That's
Jolly times.
Yeah, it's deeply emotional stuff. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I mean, I even just feel it. I feel it in my chest, and sort of the way it just sort of affects the nervous system and getting in that. What came up listening to that for you?
I just know it really well, and I've listened to it so many times. I really love the rhythm and the repetition and the way the bass kind of sounds interact and swap over the riff around. Emotionally, it's just it's quite clear. It's got a certain clarity. Allows openness. For me.
Is there a word emotion-wise that you would sort of attach to that you've always associated with that particular song, like a feeling?
I mean, it's called Prayer and Despair.
It's got those two.
But I think it's in also reading this book, there's just something about Gurdjieff that it's both aggressive, not aggressive in a violent way. There's just a sort of wanting you to be confronted with something, and just kind of facing up to it. Like
an accountability to emotion as opposed to an
there's
avoidance.
just a facing up. There's a kind of strength in just showing you a bit of a hard time.
Sure.
Because it feels kind of hard at times. It's very emotional.
Sure. In terms of his philosophy, did you spend much time actually diving into that and looking into it? Is it something you resonated with?
Yeah, for sure. It just talks about remembering yourself a lot. When I read it, I was actually makes a lot of sense with this song as well, and kind of what I was saying with this facing up to it. It's just the idea of having to repeat, I remember myself, meaning that the I, having to see where that resonates within your body. So for me, it's in the chest. So then after that, you think about remember, and you think about what remembering means, which is kind of an interesting sentence in itself, because it brings you back to a past.
Yeah.
To then bring you into the present moment. And then myself, obviously, remembering remembering you. So as a way of calling you back.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of this is just kind of returning and recalling.
Did he have a clarity around like who myself is? In his mind, was that like a version of you when you were younger, or is it whoever
No.
comes to mind when you say
No.
think of myself?
No, it's like, I think I'm bastardizing it, but it's like extremely esoteric in a way that like I haven't dealt,
Yeah.
and I probably should stay kind of quiet and secret in a way
Sure.
because of, but there is this idea of shedding away all of the imposition of our identity and personality infrastructure, which actually are not the true self, to allow for like real essence
Sure.
and the soul to
Right.
come through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, so interesting. It's also very cool how like you just sort of got introduced to it through
The
an
music,
attachment to a
actually.
music, and then
Yeah.
went on this whole
Yeah.
wormhole that
Yeah, exactly.
then created more value for you.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Amazing.
would love to listen to whatever.
I might need to I'll just play the first one because it's really good. It's got a really great name. Can you tell me the
Holy Affirming, Holy Denying, Holy Reconciling.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Let's do the final song, and then we'll get you guys out of here. it's like that shit hits so hard. It's so sad. It's the second track in a row where like I feel my heart beating more than like even with the what was it, the Saints track. I'm like, that should be way more. How is that for you guys listening to this?
I never heard it before, and it's stunning. I mean, I know some of like Sam showed me a Gurdjieff biopic film years ago, but yeah, I'd never heard that before. It's actually more jazzy than I thought it would be. From when you said the mathematical thing, I kind of got like sidelined. I thought it was going to be some like serialist kind of music or something. But that first one is particularly that motif of the boom, like super jazzy. That's like
it reminded me of the Conversation soundtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
dude,
piano.
that soundtrack is
insane, isn't it?
ridiculous.
So that was heart wrenching.
Yeah.
That was like 19th century floorboards in the Jewish ghetto in Prague or something. That was like that had me fucked.
Can I say what hit me about that?
Yeah,
that
please,
last song
please.
is when there's a bit in the middle where there's like a motif and then a set of chords that answer the motif with a certain kind of harmony, and then it just keeps like shifting up. I don't know how many intervals, but like always to a slightly awkward place, which to me makes it just such a clear communication of these like stages of something, some kind of ascension.
Yeah.
And so because it's an awkward change, it makes you immediately visualize the fact that you've just moved up, and then you play the exact same riff or whatever, the exact same little melody, and then the same chords in answer, but because they've shifted up, the meaning of those harmonic chords just becomes completely different at each stage. And then I think there's like maybe 3 stages of that, or maybe 3 or 4, that it just shifts up the same way. And each time the harmonic chord that comes after the melody is has a totally different context.
That's so
That was
beautifully
like,
put.
yeah, that was destroying me.
I wonder if we're thinking of the same thing, because for me, it felt like a bit repetitive, but at a certain point, it almost feels like the chords almost like break, like they
Exactly,
they falter
the top,
a little
when
bit.
it gets to
right?
the
It's
top,
when it gets to the top.
when it gets to the top one, there's suddenly this opportunity to resolve all of those things, and it keeps descending those harmonic chords.
Rest.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
It makes it jump out a bit more, right?
Yeah.
Like there's almost like a slight hesitation.
Hesitation,
pause.
yeah.
Oh, it is so brutal, but so beautiful, and like how much you can communicate so minimally.
Yeah.
Awesome pick. I have
Yeah.
2 hours and 50 minutes left of
Crying.
them crying
upstairs
to
on
do.
your own, so-
But yeah, is there anything you wanted to add as well?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
so much
Thank
for
you. That
sharing.
was really enjoyable,
and just
thank
like hanging out and
that was good.
putting me on. And I'm gonna love diving into these records. Your fans are gonna love diving into these records if they haven't already. And you guys are welcome back any freaking time.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Before you guys go, if you guys could just look in this camera, tell them who you are, what you got going on, what you're excited about, all the good stuff.
Hi, we're Bar Italia.
We are in New York doing press for our new record, Some Like It Hot. We will be performing in New York at Brooklyn Paramount.
November 4th.
And when does the record come out?
17 October. Some Like It Hot.
Well remembered.
Yeah. 2020.
5.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's it.